Before we ask you for anything, we want to thank you for everything. Thank you for allowing us to be here in our right state of mind. We ask that you touch our hearts and our minds as we protect our city, as we make decisions in regards to the betterment of our city. We ask that we put ourselves aside and allow you to guide our thoughts and our hearts and our minds in this process. We ask all these blessings and favors in Christ's name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We'll get to the first part, presentations. Can you hear the microphone okay? Can everybody hear this all right? Can we hear this okay? Yeah. Tell me my microphone isn't working tonight.
Is the green light on?
The green light
Is the green light on?
Of course. Why would it? Nothing else is working, right? No, the green light isn't on. And what else isn't working? Our cameras aren't working either.
Is the recorder on?
The recorder is on.
Amen.
Batteries might be bad in this thing.
Tap it, it's not working? No.
What is it, red? Is it showing it?
It is showing right here. I'll give you mine in the meantime to share.
Welcome to the land of Oz, everybody. Okay. Now you can hear me. Can we hear it? Okay. All right. That's a little bit better. Okay. All right. So we don't have patients tonight, I believe. Correct. All right. Now we're going to start with the public speakers and on the legislative items. Before we get started on the legislative items, which we haven't had any real problems with, but I want to make a public statement. First of all, Elizabeth isn't here tonight, but I want to publicly apologize to her because last week we had a little bit of a problem. Our April 3rd meeting was kind of a circus with some of the events that occurred. And Mr. Rick Pfeiffer, I want to apologize to you because in the middle of our interview we were kind of rudely interrupted by an individual. And our public speaking has been getting a little out of hand lately. As I said, before we get started with our portion with speakers, as the chairperson, I want to speak out. It's my duty to make sure that this runs as a business meeting as it's supposed to. I've said it over and over again, public speaking at City Council is a privilege. It's not a right, and it's not covered under any law. I don't know where in our society bad behavior gets rewarded, or is, we become accustomed to be getting awarded for bad behavior. Nowhere in any part of the world can you stand up in front of a government body, swear at them, call them names, and pound on the podium, throw things, ignore warnings month after month without some type of repercussion. Some people have come before the City Council making accusations about illegal activities going on, especially with the animal shelter. I've had these accusations checked out. I don't know what kind of law training you have at Yahoo Law School or Google University, but I have had some formal legal training. And Mr. Du Bois, I believe you have a JD in law, which is a doctorate in law, and I believe you passed the law. Otherwise, or I believe you passed the bar, or you wouldn't be here. Okay, and we've checked these allegations out, and we found no illegal activity. If you don't like what I'm saying, you can contact the State Attorney General's office, you can contact the FBI office in Buffalo, or you can contact the governor's office. If it's about time some of you grow up and start behaving like adults rather than ill-mannered children. Life goes on. You don't always get what you want. You can accept it and learn to compromise and move forward. Having said that, I have two individuals who continue to get worse and worse with every week. And I'm going to call you out. Ms. Barone and Ms. Gallo, your privileges to speak at this council have been suspended until June 4th. If after that time you continue to behave in the same manner that you do, you'll be suspended for the rest of the year. If you wish to disrupt the proceedings here tonight, we have a couple officers standing by that will be glad to escort you out for interfering with administrative duties. We'll not have another circus like we had here on April 3rd. I hope that's understood. Okay, with that, City Clerk, would you please call? We don't have any, if you'd like to make a motion, but it's not open for discussion. It's my position to keep order in this chambers. That's it.
So that's, I mean, I just want to make sure that's your,
That's
because it's
as
not
the
speaking
chair,
for
I'm
the whole
speaking
body.
as the chair.
Okay, so it's not the
I'm
whole
speaking
body.
as the chair.
Absolutely, okay.
You can
It's not-
contact the press afterwards, and that's fine. Okay. With that, could you please call the first person?
Yes. Okay, wait, hold on, don't start yet. I'll watch it, and if I go over a couple seconds, don't bang the hammer, okay? Ready? 1, 2. Good evening. I am Gerald Schkurlin. I live at 162 Buffalo Avenue, the historic Lavinia E. Porter House in Niagara Falls, New York. As a seated council, and the first time I have had the opportunity to speak on these matters, I wish to say that I am speaking from the social status of a political scientist, politically engaged lobbyist. I have an international and national reputation. I am speaking about agenda item number 1, the award of a contract. The last time I spoke here, I mentioned that the wording on much of the legal words that I read is rather vague. Here it says, to conduct a feasibility study and generate a report identifying possible relative to the proposed Centennial Park. That, to me, is confusing. The proposed Centennial Park, and there is no supporting documentation found as to what they are speaking of, nor in any reference to the company, their social plan, the outline, and the purpose. This is only dedicated, in the way that I see it at this moment standing here, to the plan that he has over there to see how good it can be for the public. That's putting the cart before the horse, because as I mentioned several times before this audience, or before you, the core tourist zone is what needs to be taken care of first. If you get that there and you branch out here into 2nd Street going over to 3rd Street, you make a European-style square or a circle with houses, apartments on the inside and the outside, and some small businesses, you're going to draw people in. And then you're going to create something. It's going to take 25 to 30 more years. Okay. I put here boomerang. Drop it because it's a boomerang. It's going to come back and hit us right in the face, and we are all going to suffer for it. Bury it. That's the only way to get rid of a boomerang. There's another Shakespeare saying that says, let sleeping dogs lie. You don't want to touch a sleeping dog. Man, I'd love to get $40 a day to take care of dogs. Just one dog, $40 a day? I'll take 2, 3. Oh, okay, sorry. That's why I wrote Pitchick on it, because I was confused on it. Okay, all right. Okay, forget the dogs. Here's another one from Shakespeare. If you're in a hole trying to get out, stop digging. What do you do when you're digging in a hole and you get as deep as you can? You can't throw any dirt out over the top of the hole. It's only going to come back down on your head. Stop digging. This is only taking us no place. Accepting this contract with this company from Clearwater, it's a waste of money. There's a lot of built-up hatred leading to long-established cultural aversions becoming lodged in American society. And unfortunately, the manifestation of those evil effects have affected our city council for too long. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and council. I mentioned I will not be speaking here too much or too often, but I'm here to protect my own interests today. Thank you.
Esteemed council, appreciate you all. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen in the audience. Just walk with me here. Just go along with me here. Just imagine you're at Hyde Park's swimming pool. You have a lifeguard there. You're learning how to swim. You go out into the deep end. You start treading water. Next thing you know, your body gets tired. You start flailing along. The lifeguard comes, runs. It looks like he's going to save you. Something out of Baywatch. But next thing you know, the lifeguard goes underwater, ties cement to your feet, and you keep on falling. That's what the Centennial Park project is. So it's an anchor, as it is now. No offense to the wonderful company out of Clearwater. It has nothing to do with them. It's the project as it stands now. It is crazy that after 2 years, we are now doing a feasibility study? That's called Fire, Aim, Ready. One of the people on the council was in the service, and I know this young lady right here looked like she was in the service as well. When you have a firearm, do you just shoot and then you try to aim it and then you get ready? That's what we're doing. Egregious as it stands now. And oh, by the way, listen to this conversation. Niagara Falls, we want to build a $1.5 billion facility. We've built 3. We want to build a 4th one. We love Niagara Falls. We like the environment. There's light. There's water. The environment is good. It's a well-named brand in the city. We're going to build that. We worked with NFR, and oh yeah, they haven't done anything in 25 years. Got it. But they're trying to do something now. Okay, going back to this Urbicon. We want to build there. We work with them. We got good land. We want to build there. Okay, go right ahead. Oh, we turn around. Oh, no, no, now you can't build there. Why not, Mr. Mayor? Because we want it. How much is that big? You don't have to work for NFR. You don't have to do anything for NFR. If you're for the city, if you're for common sense, instead of stopping a $1.5 billion project, which we're probably going to get at least $2 million in just property taxes alone. We're stopping that, but yet I've heard numbers where $500,000, $1 million in legal fees alone. Still nothing. And we still have to buy the land if we continue to proceed down to Centennial Park. But going back to this feasibility study, crazy after 2 years. We don't know how, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. Which is another issue. Why don't we know? Why don't we know? But now we got an RFP, and then if you read it, it is confusing, Mr. Skirlin, because when I remember I was up there when I signed on to this, and there was all supposed to be National Grid, we're supposed to be reimbursed. So it's all, I say, yes, let's go for it. We're going to get reimbursed, National Grid, they're going to pay us for it, boom, boom, everything's copacetic. But now I see additional, we got some other monies, and then there's a chance of American Rescue Plan funds? What sleight of hand trick is going on here? Is it National Grid? Are we reimbursed? Or is it ARP funds? To me, I just find that questionable, at best questionable. And two, why has this been brought now? I mean, we signed this in April. We signed it in April. And now we're just getting to it. Man, it sounds like we are 100% right on top of it. Everything is A-OK. We know who's going to build it. We know where it's going. We know it's going to be funded. We know it's going to be this. We know it's going to be that. But yet we took almost a year, 3/4 of a year to do a feasibility project. No offense to the company out of Clearwater. I love private partnerships. That's why I wish we just dropped this egregious situation. And I put a resolution forth before that too, as well as a resolution not to use CDBG funds. There should be a reconsider to just bring that up, because obviously we're trying to dip into ARP funds. Who says we won't dip into CDBG funds? So man, let's get this anchor off the city's back. $150 million plus, $34 trillion in debt as a country. What does that mean, Vincent? That number, 34 trillion, you're just throwing out numbers. What does that mean? Look to the person on your left, look to the person on your right, look to the person in front of you, and look to the person in the back of you. Each of you owe $100,000. Why? Because we get boondoggles like the Centennial Park. And I'm not against the park. It's the package as it is. The location, we don't have anything. Let's do it a different way, the right way. This isn't it. Thank you.
Speakers. I'm sorry? No, that's on the other one, for the good of the community. He's on the good of the community.
At the end of the meeting.
Mr. Sergio Frangel, did you have? You.
There's two different sheets, there's one on the agenda item and there's one on the good of the community.
Mr.
He's on the sheet for speaking as the good of the community at the end of the meeting.
Okay, he signed the wrong sheet. He wanted to sign. No.
Is he speaking on a legislative item?
Okay.
Is he speaking
Sergio,
on
I think you
it?
signed.
Speaking on a legislative item, agenda item?
He wanted to speak on item number 1.
I don't know, the note says new convention center.
New Convention Center, okay. I think he misunderstood what he was doing, so can we make an exception?
He can speak at during the good of the community.
Okay. All right. You'll be the first person on the under general speaking, right after the general speaking. After the business section, right at the beginning, you had it, when you wrote down what you were speaking about, you said new convention center, which is not item number 1, so there's a misunderstanding. I know you didn't understand it, but that's the forum, so. All right. Okay. All right, the public speaking agenda. Okay, administrative updates. Do we have anything?
Thank you. There will be no administrative update this evening, but I do have the pleasure of introducing our new controller, Linda Hybicki, who's sitting to my left.
Welcome.
Okay. Would you like to say anything to the council? Introduce yourself.
My name is Linda Hybicki, and I started on Monday, and I'm coming from the city of Lackawanna, and I'm very happy to be here.
Welcome. Okay. All right, that brings us to item 3D, community happenings. Community happenings. Anybody have any community happenings, or community events?
Next Tuesday at the Hyde Park Ice Pavilion, the Walk Against Child Abuse will start at 4:30. It's hosted by the Niagara County Department of Social Services.
Brian? No. Nothing?
And the citywide cleanup next Saturday. The cleanup is 10 a.m. to noon.
Okay. That brings us to item number 4, review and adoption of the agenda items. We've all had the electronic versions of the listed agenda. Are there any motions to amend the agenda by roll call vote? Okay, is there a motion to adopt the agenda by roll call?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Archie,
Yes.
Councilmember Bax,
Yes.
Councilmember Miles,
Yes.
Councilmember Zajac,
Yes.
Chairman Perry,
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
5 yeas, the motion is adopted. Okay. Now we're at the review and approval of the minutes. We have review for the meeting minutes for March 20th, 2024. Are there any amendments to the draft of the March 2024 minutes? You've all had a chance to review them? No? Okay, let them be read in as final. We'll adopt the minutes for March 20th, 2024. Move on to the April 3rd, 2024. Is there a motion to amend the minutes for April 3rd, 2024? No? Okay, let's adopt the meeting minutes for April 3rd, 2024. Moving on to item 6, information from the county clerk, or from the city clerk's office.
We have a review of the license issued for the collection made for the Office of Clerk. And my notes over here.
License issued and collection made in the clerk's office during March 2024. 3-month record of activities for council member Brian Archie for reach of NYSLRS. Received and filed.
Okay. Okay, on to agenda items. From the mayor's office, agenda item number 1 from the mayor. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move the council vote to approve the contract award for RFP number PLN 2023-02 to Sports Facility Advisory LLC to conduct a feasibility study and generate a report identifying possible development strategies and best potential uses relative to the proposed Centennial Park, and authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with the successful vendor as more fully outlined in his recommendation memo dated April 18th, 2024.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Information?
Yeah, another piece, I know we talked a little bit earlier. So there is, especially when it comes down to the ARP funds, we don't have any real assurances that the ARP, I looked, I tried, and there is no, I didn't see where like the direct qualification that this feasibility study, where it really fits in the ARP for the guidelines, or Treasury guidelines. I think the question that I'm asking is, let's say we do this. Let's say they did the feasibility study. I have a little something to say about that. But let's say they did the feasibility study. Is that saying that if they said that portion of land that we're already in the middle of an eminent domain process, let's say they said that's not a good place to have it? Is there a possibility that we could possibly be going into another eminent domain for another piece of land that they may say may fit the bill? I think
I couldn't answer that hypothetical, but to answer your first question, as to whether there was a Treasury guidance category, serial number, or other designation, if you would take a look at the supporting document.
6.1, right?
Yeah, the first one, it's the mayor's memo to the council regarding item 1. And if you go down to the third paragraph, that last sentence refers to the Treasury guidance expenditure category 6.1, which is revenue replacement for the provision of government services. So that is the designation in the event that ARP funds are needed to pay for expenses. But as I indicated before the meeting to the council members, we have 2 grants that between the 2 of them will cover up to $140,000 exclusive of expenses. And we're in negotiations with Sports Facility Advisory. If the council votes to approve tonight, we will complete the negotiations. My discussion with the principal from SFA this afternoon indicated that they will not exceed the grant money. They'll come in well below the $140,000. And in terms of expenses, which the grants do not cover, he told me that it will not exceed $7,500 and would more likely be in the range of $5,000 to $6,000. So given that information, if the council votes to allow us to complete the contract, we'll make sure that those terms are included. And in practical terms, what that would mean is if the expenses come in at the maximum of $7,500, that $7,500 would be paid through the American Rescue funds under Category 6.1 of the Treasury Guidance expenditure category. I hope that answers the question.
Sort of. Is there a way, I mean, especially if they're saying that it won't, you know, they're kind of gauging that it won't exceed that and we'll be far below that. I have an issue with us utilizing American Rescue Plan funds for this.
The 75, the potential $7,500.
I don't care if it was $25. Yeah. It's taking money from the poor people, from people that where this money is supposed to go, and we have not spent hardly any of that on that yet. We bought a lot of things with the American Rescue Plan Fund. So my thing is that I guess the question that I'm going to ask, because I'm going to ask you a question, I want to is there a way that we could have that portion removed from this agenda item? If we're gonna, like, to the degree, if we're going to do a feasibility study, I'm not against a feasibility study is basically, I mean, we've already put the cart before the horse anyway, because a feasibility study, I mean, we nosedive, and it's a little difficult for me to, you know, a feasibility study tells us, is this something that we should do as a city? Is this something that is going to be a viable project for our city? Is this something that is actually going to work for the city? So that probably, before we went nosedive and went full force in support of it, we probably should have did a feasibility study in the very beginning. So we at least know. So my thing is that now that we are putting the cart before the horse, can we remove this portion, being that they're saying, because people can say anything. I've heard a lot of people say a lot of stuff and never follow through with it. Can we remove this portion? And I tell you what, and I wouldn't be opposed to voting for the feasibility study in the event that that is taken out, same way as the CDBG funds. I feel the same way exactly about this. We're utilizing this, and it's saying for revenue replacement. What revenue are we replacing by having this feasibility study? We're not replacing any revenue. I feel like this is kind of just like a grab, so we can kind of have this just on the side just in case, but this is not helping our city. This is just kind of funding an idea for somebody else's project. So can we, make a long story less long, can we remove that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, to answer your question, I suppose you could make a motion to strike out the reference to the American Rescue Plan Treasury expenditure category if you want to, but absolutely. The $7,500 that would come out of ARP funds is under the correct category, which is for provision of government services. Now, if the funding is not used for this, and the council wants to vote for this, it would have to find funding at a later date to cover the expenses of up to $7,500. So.
So, Mr. Du Bois, just to clarify on that, I did have another question. First off, thank you for clarifying that exclusive expenses part in the document. Just going off that, so if we amended this and took that portion out, at this point, would we have to put in the other funding source, or we could come back to that at a later time?
Well, ideally, you would want to put in a replacement funding source, right, but I don't have that. I couldn't tell you where that $7,500 would come from.
Gotcha.
You could authorize the mayor to complete the negotiations. I'm not entirely comfortable with recommending the idea that you can come back at a later date to find out where the $7,500 is going to come from. I mean, in theory, it could be done, but
Gotcha.
it's something I've never seen the council do on an item like this for $7,500.
Fair.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Du Bois, but what you're saying is you'd have to put a motion to redo this whole thing and come back with another way to fund this feasibility study.
You'd have to more or less table this or vote it down, come back with another way to fund this entire thing. But basically, you're saying no to this, and you'd have to come up with another way to do it. Pretty much that's what you're saying.
It is what I'm saying.
Okay, I just wanted to
Yep.
clarify that.
And let me reiterate that the $140,000 grant funding does not get reimbursed by the city. It's the grant funding reimbursing the city for its payment to sports facilities advisory. So excluding the expenses, which may cap out at $7,500, the entire cost of the contract with SFA is at no cost to the taxpayers and will not require the expenditure of ARP funding.
Yeah, I know. I got it. Okay.
I'm not aware if there is a deadline or a clock running on the grant money at this time. I just simply don't know.
So, excluding the American Rescue Plan funds, shut this whole agenda item down for now?
Well, I don't want to speak hypothetically. It would require a motion, and it would require a second, and it would require a vote. And I don't want to predict the outcome of that motion, second, and the vote as to what its possible consequences could be. My thought process is that it would be a very intricate procedural, parliamentary procedure to try to figure out a new way to pay up to $7,500 maximum in expenses.
Okay, any other?
Yeah, that's another question I have. Shoot, it was just right at the tip of my tongue, and I don't want to move forward. Oh, it was just at the tip of my tongue. Oh, that's it. There you go. Had one of those moments. Right. So this was brought to us before, and when it was brought to us before, if my memory serves me correct, it was supposed to be the reimbursement. It all had to do with really mainly just National Grid. So from that time to this one, what happened? Where we starting to add because there was zero talk of ARP funds when it was brought to us before. So what happened from that time to this one, where now we're adding other, financial spaces into this that's supposed to take care of it? Because it was supposed to be like a National Grid type situation, and now I just have an issue. I think I've made it clear multiple times how I feel about the CDBG and American Rescue Plan funds being utilized in different spaces. What happened from that point to this one? What pulled in the American Rescue Plan Fund?
Well, first of all, I'm not sure that the ARP funding wasn't mentioned in the resolution that the council passed on June 7th of 2023. Moreover, in terms of what the council did on June 7th of 2023 was not simply a vote on National Grid grant money, but also the matching funds of USA Niagara. So that it's those two organizations
Right.
That are contributing to come up with $140,000, which is, as I mentioned, is well above what the SFA contract is going to come in at. as I mentioned earlier, the negotiations indicate that it's going to come in the low 100 to $110,000. So that all of that will be paid for by the grants, except for expenditures up to $7,500. The item that was voted on June 7th of 2023 was simply to allow the grant writers to apply for the grants. And we did secure the grants, both of them, and now we have this funding available so that the taxpayers won't have to pay that $100,000 to $110,000 that's going to go to SFA.
And is that contingent on the 7,500 or possible 7,500 being covered by something else, or are they already set to take care of that regardless of? I guess that's of course that's my only issue right now.
Well, as I understand it, their expenses are going to be about 3 plane flights. At the start of their evaluation, they're going to send 2 staff members, to fly up to Niagara Falls, to do some surveys, and return to Florida. And then at the end of the project, when they're ready to present the final outcome, they're going to fly 1 staff member from Florida to Niagara Falls to make their presentation and then return home to Florida. And that's where the potential $7,500 will be used. And I was told that it'll be more in the line of $5,000 or $6,000 for those air flights total. Okay.
I don't have any more questions.
Probably also includes an overnight hotel stay as well in that number.
Okay, if there are no other questions, is there any opposition? Don't say nothing. Wait. Okay. With that, please call the roll. I know what he's going to vote.
Is there, when you asked if is there opposition, then you have a debate. So at this point, if anyone wants to speak in favor of the motion, they speak first, and then Chairperson Miles can speak in opposition, and we'll go from there.
I know, you want to defend it? All right, I know. I know. All right.
I can't speak for or against it.
I know.
At this portion.
That was a joke. That was a joke. Okay. Maybe my sense of humor is not there yet. But okay, we got there. All right. Please call the roll. Go ahead. Down to it.
Does anyone want to speak in favor of the motion?
I did receive a few phone calls today from some residents who were supportive of this. Simply, a big reason was because it is of no cost to the city. The $140,000, which we approved moving forward for those 2 grants to fund this study, and a feasibility study is certainly something, and a market analysis I think is something that's a positive move, a needed move for a project of this size. And like I said, I had some phone calls and some outreach from some residents today, also supporting, since it is no cost to the taxpayers.
Yeah, so, and I'm supportive of the actual feasibility. I'm supportive of, a 2-year-ago feasibility study. I'm supportive of that. I'm just not supportive of us doing it with any language that has anything to do with the ARA, American Rescue Plan Fund. So where would I actually make a motion? Would this be the space prior to where I would make a motion to strike that off of this?
Yes, this would be the time to make the motion before there's a vote.
Okay.
Can I just make just one other quick point on that? So the expenses, which I know is a standard part of doing this type of business, is approximately the $5,000 or $5,000 to $6,000 is approximately 0.03% of the entire project. The feasibility study costs. So just something to keep in mind.
Definitely. It's about the practice. I think that's what it is for me. It's the principle behind it, where if it's about using what funds. I mean, and I feel this way. If this project is so viable, and if this project is so great for our city, and this project is going to do so much, and there are so many people that are so for it, that it should not be a problem with anybody, whether it's, private investment sector, pulling up $7,500 and taking this off and just say, you know what, we'll take care of the expenses. But I don't see anyone putting their money where their mouth is.
75,000,
$7,500. $7,500. Yeah. So it's a small amount. So and I guess so. It's not about how much it is. It's the principle behind it and what funding we're utilizing. So even like I said, I don't care if it was $75. I feel like, instead of us utilizing this, because then we create a culture, and then we'll use it for something else. And personally, I can't see why, when there are other spaces that, our rescue plan funds, and like I said, $7,500 is a small amount right now, absolutely, but striking it out and allowing some other people who believe so heavily into this project that they, private sector. You pay. So my motion would be is to strike out the portion of this agenda item that states that the remaining balance, if any, would be utilized or paid back by the American Rescue Plan Fund. Got Treasury Guidance Category 6.1, which is revenue replacement for the provision of government service.
Wait a minute. Strike out, you can't just,
That's a motion. I can do that. I can make a motion to strike out that portion, right?
well, you have to replace it with something, don't you? You can't just strike out and say, strike it out and not
Well,
replace it.
he's made his motion, and if there's someone who wants to second it, and
Struck this out, then that means what is National Grid and the other investor for that portion, are they leaving if we chose to strike this out? Because in that case, you can still find. This is not time sensitive. I don't think, is it?
no, the grant money wasn't going to pay for the up to $7,500 in expenses under any circumstance, and so they're not going to pay for it.
Yeah, and they're not going to.
They're not gonna, if your motion to strike, as you set your motion out, if it's successful, it's not going to change the grant.
So it's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt the grant. It's not going to stop them. They're not going to not still move forward. It's just that we just have to find them.
The only thing I'm confused,
You get the proposal.
So there's a.
but the only thing I'm confused on, Councilman Miles, where are you're striking it out, but where are you proposing the funding source come from?
So whose idea is it? Because it's not ours. So I think the question that I'm saying is that, and I've been explaining myself about this whole Centennial Park. I'm not going to go into that unless you guys want me to. At the end of the day, utilizing this fund, because it's saying, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but what you're saying is that, okay, even though you feel that it's not, you don't feel within your heart that it's a good decision or a good move on the city to utilize this fund, we should just utilize it anyway, or we're going to have that's my confusion, because my thing is I think I did a decent job explaining why.
I do understand, I respect
Right.
your position. I'm just confused that striking it out, but we still have to have a place for it to come from. That's where the only,
So
I don't know where.
and being that it's not a time sensitive situation right now, as per where the $7,500 to come from, those who
The difference is that the ARP funding that has been given to the city has to be spent.
by the end of the year.
I think it might even be sooner than the end of the year, but what's not spent gets returned. And if ARP funding is supposed to be off limits to us for this purpose, then we're going to have to find the funds from city taxpayers. I don't know where else it would come from. It would have to come from the general fund, which is what the taxpayers contribute to.
No, no, that's not.
Well, that's what's gonna, it's not gonna come.
I don't know where else the funding would come from.
It's not gonna come out of the air.
Go ahead. Probably be a 4-1, but it's all good.
But there's been a motion made, and at this point, we really should have asked if there was a second.
You have to state the motion, because I didn't hear that the motion stated.
He did.
I did.
We have it.
I did.
Would
We
you
have
repeat
it.
it, so I get it?
Well, his
You
motion,
want me to make a motion again?
Please
no,
state.
no.
Oh, he got it.
Wait, will you repeat it for us?
His motion was to strike out any funding from the American Rescue Fund plan using Treasury Guidance Expenditure Category 6.1, which is revenue replacement for the provision of government services. Is there a second?
Okay, can I have a second for the motion? Can I have a second for the motion? Okay, the motion has failed. Okay. Okay.
What's that?
The motion failed. Okay,
It's all good.
all right.
Mr. Chairman, at this point, unless there's any further debate, the debate should be closed and a roll call vote should be held as to the main motion.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Archie?
Let me just say quickly, what I don't want to happen is for the bill, this is me, and this is my vote, for this bill to go back to the taxpayers. If there is opportunity for us to pay for this in another way that is legal, whether we like it or not, I would prefer for that to happen instead of hearing and getting the phone calls about why are we paying these expenditures, because that will happen on the opposite side. Why are we doing that? So please understand, I'm voting yes, and I'm voting yes so that the folks here and otherwise in our city are not footing any more bills for things that they don't need to.
That's a yay.
That's a yay.
Councilmember Bax?
I too echo Councilman Archie's comments, and I'm voting yes because this does not incur any expense from our taxpayers to conduct this market analysis and feasibility study.
Councilmember Miles?
Before I vote, the reason why I'm voting no for this is due to the fact that if it is a viable project, if it is something that our city wants, if it is something that the business sector of our city wants, if it is something that is so great for our city and that everyone is weighing in with their pocketbooks, then $7,500 would be nothing to come up with. $7,500 would be immediately right before us, and we wouldn't have to even have this conversation. My thing is that how viable is this for our city? How viable is it? What good? And we're talking about the whole project, because that's what this is to do. I am for moving forward with having what should have happened a long time ago, a feasibility study. However, utilizing this funds, it's not about this few dollars, it's $7,500. We blew more money than that on way less up here at City. We voted on garbage for $7,500. With that being said, because I don't want to make it seem like, oh my God, we're going to cripple the city of Niagara Falls with $7,500 bill. My thing is that it states, it screams deafening volumes that no one is willing to put $7,500 up for that portion of this feasibility study. So how viable really is this project for our city? So I vote no.
Councilmember Zajac?
as well before my vote, echoing actually what all three of my council members, colleagues said. Councilmember Archie and Councilmember Bax definitely said it how I was going to say it. Unfortunately, almost going last. I kind of have to go a ditto back to them. And as well as Councilmember Miles' point, you know, if up till today, or if there was an option today to put something else in that line at the bottom of that paragraph, and it was a viable option, I could have probably saw my way to see that changed. But how this sits today, my vote is yes.
Chairperson Perry,
Yes.
4 yeas, 1 nay.
Motion is carried. God, this is going to be a long meeting. All right.
No, not really. It's gonna be like after about 5 or 6.
Okay, I'll trust you, All right. All right, may I have a motion for agenda item number 2?
Mr. Chairman, I move the council vote to approve the contract between the City and Patch Management, Inc. for that vendor to provide street pothole repair using spray injection patching technology, and authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with that vendor as more fully outlined in his recommendation memo dated April 18th, 2024.
May I have a second for action item number 2? Okay, any information?
Yeah, so this definitely is a thing every year, and one of the biggest challenges I think we face are the potholes in our streets, and it seems that we're going over the same areas every year, and I'm wondering what can be done to, I don't know if it's a replacing of the product or a better process for this, to ensure that we have a little bit of longevity in terms of the repairs, so that other portions of the city can be addressed. And my second question to that is, who actually, how are the areas that need to be remedied submitted? Like, are they just, you know what I mean?
So question 2 is the easiest one, so I'm going to start there and work backwards. The director of DPW will be working closely with patch management in terms of prioritizing areas that need special attention. So, the DPW crews have local knowledge of the streets that need immediate attention, and so they're going to have a list of priorities for the operator from patch management to get to work on. So, question 1, I don't really have an answer about whether there's a better process. You made the comment that it seems to be the patches go in the same areas year after year, and I don't know if that is because of some underlying problem with the roads themselves. Roads they have several layers. And that first layer of binder is very deep, and when you think about what's going on Military Road right now, with that being totally rehabbed, that's a complete tear out right to the bottom of the binder. So they're starting from scratch, and some of our roads, some of our other roads, may need the same attention at some point. But in terms of a more temporary repair, the patch management company has a couple advantages, and that is they can fill more holes in less time than our crews, and their studies show that their patches last longer than hand-filled patches, meaning if we didn't have patch management, our crews would be out there with shovels and dropping asphalt into each hole, and then taking a tamper and stamping it down or driving over it. It may seem like the patch management patches don't last, but when you compare it to the alternative, our old-fashioned way of patching potholes, they contend that their process is superior.
I just said I've seen on occasion the actual thing in action and a car come right after the pothole killer has done his thing and dig it right out. So what I'm saying is we have to figure out how to do something with the process, because it's redundancy of work, getting people back out into a space, doing the thing that we just paid somebody to do.
Well,
and so it just goes back to not wasting resources.
Can I throw my 2 cents in?
As soon as I'm done.
When I used to work
as soon
for
as I'm
the-
done. And improving the process.
Nickel. When I used to work for the water department years ago, we used to cold patch. We used to be responsible for not only, once we make the hole, fill the hole and put cold patch in it, and it was a manual process. The problem was it would take so long to do it. With the pothole killer, quote unquote, or the patching, they can do a whole street in the time it would take us to do 1 patch. So I think it's a trade-off. Maybe this is not as durable, but they can do a lot more in a shorter amount of time. But, you know, where we live in our city and our environment, you're going to have the same problem year after year because of the thawing and the way that our city is, and you're just going to run into it. I don't know if there's a way to permanently fix our roads. I don't think there is, but, you know, it's just the process, that's all. But, yeah.
Does the Community Development Block Grant Fund, doesn't that have something to do with our paving as well?
With paving?
Yes.
I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, paving is a part of it. Demolition, paving, and some other things as well. So,
Oh, I think what you're maybe referring to is that the annual street repaving?
well, from the CDBG funds.
Well,
Yeah.
it may, there are state funds that pay for that. Now, the delivery mechanism of state funds, maybe through CDBG, I'm not familiar with that. But our annual street repaving is funded by the state and state taxpayers.
Right, and I know there's there's the additional that we get from CDBG funds. I guess because the thing is, it kind of goes back to, are we going to kick a can down the road and keep coming up with the same problems? Because the true story is our streets, and this is more so a discussion, our streets are really bad. And I've watched them, I'm right off of Pine, and I've watched them go over Pine I don't know how many times, especially when you cross Hyde Park and you go on the left side, your teeth is rattling when you're going down that road. And there are many other streets, and a lot of times it's out of sight and out of mind. So it's unfortunately in some of the underserved portions of our city, you go down 13th and Linwood and see what your car does then. So a lot of people drive around a lot of the problems and not understand that, we have a problem right in the heart of our city. So how do we, again, to Councilman Archie's point, what do we do? How can we exert our monies and funding that we have that are dedicated to those specific things, and that's a quality of life issue in Niagara Falls, is our streets. That's infrastructure. That's stuff that we should really be, and that's where a lot of people come from out of town, and they hate to even drive in our city because of the simple fact that our roads is piss poor. So instead of is there a way that we can extract money from if there is monies from CDBG to be utilized in that space? That's our everyday for the 360, just an overall look of our city. How do we, is that a way? Because I'm okay with let me put it this way. I'm okay with the pothole killer for these holes that are here now. I mean, they need to be filled. Okay, let's do it. Thing is that, what's next? Or are we going to be here next year saying, hey, we need the pothole killer again for another $195,000?
Well, that may be something that the council wants to discuss among themselves and explore and address, but it's not something that we can answer tonight with respect to this agenda item.
Okay. More information. Okay. All right.
That was a good, I'm sorry. Ooh, that was real quick. Is there a warranty on this? So when they come and they patch our holes, is there a guarantee? Because we're paying them. And if we're paying them close to $200,000, is there a guarantee that, you know, for at least for a decent amount of time, not for when somebody ride over like 10 minutes later, kick the rest of that asphalt out? Is there a warranty that's set in place for us with their contract?
No, I can't answer that question. I don't know.
I got you.
I was just looking at the thing to see if there's anything mentioned about that patch management. Write it down for a follow-up, though.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of follow-up because this is ridiculous.
Well, I mean, just logic tells me that it would be very surprising if there was a warranty, because if we go back to our old system of, you know, guys with shovels dropping in hot asphalt and then tamping it down, there's no warranty or guarantees on their work either. If a car comes by, you know, and we probably have that experience as well with the old-fashioned way of filling potholes. You drive over the freshly filled pothole and you hear all the sound of the gravel being caught up in your tires and being thrown in your wheel wells. So is that warranted and guaranteed as well? I mean, I think it gets to a point where there's only so much you can do when filling potholes, and you do the best you can.
The difference with that is those are our employees, and they would have to go back out and redo the hole. This is a service that we pay for.
Are you telling me that you know, when the pothole patcher goes by and fills a hole and it's immediately emptied out or removed, that the pothole patcher doesn't go back and fix it? Just leaves it?
That's not what I said at all. Your statement was, what do we do if it's a manual individual? And I know that if there are employees, they would have to go back and hit the street. But it's just a question we need to just revisit and think about. It's good.
All right, any more information requests?
It's good.
Any opposition? Okay, with that, can we call for a roll?
Councilmember Archie?
Yes.
Councilmember Bax?
Yes.
Councilmember Mouse? Yes. Councilmember Zajac? Yes. Chairperson Perry?
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
5 yeas, the motion is adopted. Moving on to our next piece of legislation. Item number 3. May I have a motion, please?
Number 3, I move the council vote to approve the 2-year contract extension between the city and AP Benefit Advisors, LLC, to continue that vendor's services until May 30th, 2024, and authorize the mayor to execute an amendment to the current agreement with that vendor as more fully outlined in his recommendation memo dated April 18th, 2024.
May I have a second, please?
If I may just interject, Councilman Bax, you referred to the extension to May 30th, 2024. That may be a typo.
2025.
It should read until May 30th, 2026 for the 2 years.
26.
Do we need an amended resolution for that?
I think
Or just say it?
Do we need
the resolution, just for the record, the resolution is correct. It was just the statement I misread.
So the motion is to approve a 2-year contract extension between the city and AP Benefit Advisors, LLC, to continue the vendor's services until May 30th, 2024, and authorize the mayor to execute. Okay, God. Okay.
It needs amending everywhere. It's 2024
All right.
on all of them.
God, help us. Okay. Yeah.
It says, no, it says to extend 2 years.
Yeah.
I know it says 2
All right.
years, but it just says
It is
May
correct.
30th, 2026. Okay. God. All right, it's been a long, it's already been a
It's-
long
yeah,
night, hasn't it?
The resolution is correct.
All right, okay,
It's correct.
yeah, all right. So can we get, we got the motion. Can we get a second for that motion, please? We'll get it correct.
Second.
You second it?
Archie.
Second.
Second, okay. Brian seconded the motion. Any information requests? No, thank God. All right. Any opposition? Okay. Can we get a vote, please? A roll call, please.
Chairmember Archie,
Yes.
Chairmember Bax,
Yes.
Chairmember Miles. Yes. Chairmember Zajac. Yes. Chairperson Perry,
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
Okay, the motion is adopted. And moving on to number 4. Can I get a motion, please?
Yes, I move the council vote to approve and authorize the mayor to execute any deeds or other documents necessary to effectuate the sale of city-owned real property at 422 Cedar Avenue to Bryant Smith as more fully outlined in the mayor's recommendation memo dated April 18th, 2024.
Okay, can I get a second, please? Second. Thank you, Dante. Okay, any information requests? Any opposition? Call the roll, please.
Chairmember Archie,
Yes.
Chairmember Bax,
Yes.
Chairmember Miles. Yes. Chairmember Zajac. Yes. Chairperson Perry,
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
Okay, motion is adopted. Okay, moving right along. Can I get a motion for item number 5?
Mr. Chairman, I move the council vote to approve the contract award for bid number 2024-04 to Frankie's Donuts, Inc. to provide the city with meals for prisoners from May 14th, 2024 to May 14th, 2025, as more fully outlined in the mayor's recommendation memo dated April 18th, 2024.
Okay, may I get a second, please? Thank you. Okay, any information requests? Any opposition? No? Okay, please call the roll.
Chairmember Archie,
Yes.
Chairmember Bax.
Yes.
You had me
I'm
scared.
sorry, Councilmember. Sorry.
That's what I wasn't sure I heard.
Yes.
Councilmember Miles.
Before I vote on this, I would like to definitely say, I have a lot of respect for, Mr. Frankie from Frankie's Donuts. He's definitely one of, like a pillar as far as, when we look, I always look at the, when we had the coronavirus and the pandemic was here. I mean, this is a guy that took pretty much funding out of his own pocket to try to keep people employed and stayed open longer than a lot of other places that shut their doors and boarded their windows up really quick. So overall, I'm more than happy to say yes for this.
Councilmember Zajac.
Yes.
Chairperson Perry,
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
The motion is adopted. Okay, action item number 6. Get a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I move the council vote to approve the 2-year contract extension between the city and WAM Software, Inc., and authorize the mayor to execute an amendment to the current agreement with that vendor as more fully outlined in his recommendation memo dated April 18th, 2024.
Okay, may I get a second, please? Thank you. Okay, any information? No? Okay. Any opposition? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Archie,
Yes.
Councilmember Bax,
Yes.
Councilmember Miles. Yes. Councilmember Zajac. Chairperson Perry,
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
Okay, the motion is adopted. Moving on to item number 7. Get a motion, please.
Number 7, I move the council vote to approve the creation of exempt part-time position of confidential secretary to council as more fully outlined in the mayor's recommendation memo dated April 18th, 2024.
Okay, may I get a second, please?
Second.
Okay. Information request,
We brought this before, right?
yes.
Yes.
And was there a reason why we went from 18 hours down to 12 hours?
No, 12 hours.
Hours a week.
Yeah, well, that was pretty much, you know, I did an assessment of what we went from $12, $18 an hour, if you remember, that was the going rate. And I said, you know, that's kind of low, so I think $20 an hour would be more adequate. You and I talked about the rate, and at 12 hours, it's, you know, pretty much, I was doing an assessment of what we needed the person for, and I said, well, you know, estimated an average of about 12 hours a week for what we needed for the immediate time. It may change going forward as we move forward, but right now we're looking at probably about 12 hours a week. Mainly because help put the agenda together and a few issues we have. And if later on down the line we need something more, we'll discuss it among ourselves and see what we need. But we figure this is where we're starting, because right now we don't have anybody.
Right.
You know?
I guess the question is is this competitive enough? It's kind of like when Burger King first started paying $15 an hour, but they was only giving their workers 10 hours a week. It's kind of like, you know, yeah, I'm making $15 an hour, and it seems like it's a lot, but if I'm not getting that many hours, it's not that appealing to me. So would this be competitive? Would this be like, you know, if somebody? I guess we'll see.
Well, this is our starting point.
Yeah.
And it's more or less we're looking for someone who's retired, someone like me, you know, an old guy retired, doesn't have anything else to do. What are we gonna do? I'll run for city council. What the hell? You know? That's the way it is. You know? So we'll start there and see where we're going. I mean, we have nothing now.
Right.
And you know,
Something
you
is
know
better
our
than
place
nothing.
is like.
I'm not against it. Let me just put that out there. I'm not against it. We need it, but I was just wondering, well, you know.
You know how the work is backing up in our. I don't think we can really explain to the public what it's like, but if you go up there, you could see. No. Any other? I think we all know what it's like. So.
Yeah.
You know, but-
Yeah. I mean, I think this is, like you said, I think this is a very good starting point. And then obviously when it comes to next year, Mr. Chairperson, I spoke with you about this. Obviously the funding will be, you know, incumbent on us because now we're not looking at half the year, we're looking at a full year.
Yeah, we'll have a line item, and there was at one time a full-time secretary up there, and since we're all part-time workers, except for me, but I get paid part-time, but, you know, I have nothing to do with my life, so that's why I'm here. But anyways, this is what I do, I serve the community, because I love everybody in Niagara Falls, so that's why I'm here. So, having said that, any opposition? No. Okay, I didn't think so. Okay. Call the roll, please. Let's get on with this.
Councilmember Archie. Councilmember Bax.
Yes.
Councilmember Miles.
Yes.
Councilmember Zajac,
Yes.
Chairperson Perry.
Yes.
5 yeas, no
5
nays.
days, the motion's adopted. Okay, says joking so much I forgot where we're at. Okay, item number 8.
Number 8, let's see, we're on to the traffic advisory. Mr. Chairman, I move the council vote to approve to install taxi stand on Elmwood Ave, south side, from Portage Road, easterly, for about 300 feet, as more fully outlined in the commission's recommendation, dated March 25, 2024.
Okay, can we have a second, please?
Second.
All right, any information requests? No? Okay, any opposition? All right, can we call the roll, please?
Councilmember Archie.
Yes.
Councilmember Bax.
Yes.
Councilmember Miles. Yes. Councilmember Zajac, Yes. Chairperson Perry.
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
Motion's adopted. Okay, item number 9. May I have a motion?
I move the council vote to approve to install all-way stop signs at the intersection of 80th Street and Girard Ave as more fully outlined in the commission's recommendation, memo dated March 25th, 2024.
May I have a second? Okay, any information? Okay, any opposition? Okay, I think this is a good move myself, but, all right, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Archie?
Yes.
Councilmember Bax?
Yes.
Councilmember Miles? Yes. Councilmember Zajac? Yes. Councilmember Perry, Chairperson Perry?
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
You can call me, I don't get offended if you call me council person, it doesn't bother me at all. I'm not an ego person. All right, moving on to, item
Mr. Chairman.
10.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if you would just announce the result of the vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I said it's adopted. I get joking around too much, I guess. I better get serious here. Okay.
Thank you.
Good to have fun.
I get all excited about having a secretary up in the office. So when I go in, I can say hi to somebody. It's not an empty room anymore. Okay, I apologize. All right, where are we at? Number 10? Item number 10. Okay, may I have a motion for action item number 10?
I move the council vote to approve to install a 50-foot-long loading zone, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., in front of 2745 Niagara Street, as more fully outlined in the commission's recommendation memo dated March 25th, 2024.
May I get a second, please? Second. Thank you. Okay, any information requests? All right, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Archie?
Yes.
Councilmember Bax?
Yes.
Councilmember Miles? Yes. Councilmember Zajac? Yes. Chairperson Perry?
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
5 yeas, motion's adopted. Action item number 11, may I get a motion, please?
I move the council vote to approve to install alternate overnight parking on Michigan Ave between Hyde Park Boulevard and 29th Street as more fully outlined in the commission's recommendation memo dated March 25th, 2024.
Second, please. Second. Thank you. Any information requests? No? Okay, any opposition? All right. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Archie?
Yes.
Councilmember Bax?
Yes.
Councilmember Miles? Yes. Councilmember Zajac? Yes. Chairperson Perry?
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
5 yeas, the motion is adopted. May I have a motion for number 12, please?
Yes, I move the council vote to approve to install overnight parking on Frontier Ave North Side only between 87th Street and 88th Street as more fully outlined in the commission's recommendation memo dated March 25th, 2024.
Okay, may I get a second, please?
Second.
All righty. Okay, any information requests? All right, any opposition? Okay, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Archie?
Yes.
Councilmember Bax?
Yes.
Councilmember Miles? Yes. Councilmember Zajac? Yes. Chairperson Perry?
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
All right, motion's adopted. Action item number 13.
I move the council vote to approve to install alternate overnight parking on 15th Street between Michigan Ave and Weston Ave as more fully outlined in the commission's recommendation memo dated March 25th, 2024.
Okay, may I get a second, please? Second. Thank you. Information requests? Any opposition? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Archie?
I have to abstain due to conflict of interest.
Councilmember Bax?
Yes.
Councilmember Miles?
Yes.
Councilmember Zajac? Yes. Chairperson Perry?
Yes.
4 yeas, 1 nay.
Motion is
Abstain.
I'm sorry.
abstention.
One abstention.
Okay, motion's adopted. Item number 14. May I get a motion, please?
I move the council vote to approve to install alternate overnight parking on 82nd Street between Troy Ave and Stevenson Ave as more fully outlined in the commission's recommendation memo dated March 25th, 2024.
Okay, may I get a second?
Second.
Any information request? Okay, call the roll, please.
Any opposition?
No opposition? I was reading I'm sorry. Any opposition? Okay, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Archie,
Yes.
Councilmember Bax,
Yes.
Councilmember Miles. Yes. Councilmember Zajac. Yes. Chairperson Perry.
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
This time I'm reading before I start talking, okay. Okay, may I get a motion for item number 15, please?
You got
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, excuse me, would you announce the result of the vote on item 14? Motion adopted.
Wait a minute, didn't we just vote on 14? Actually, no.
Yes, and the vote tally was 5 yeas, 0
5 yeas,
zero
motion's
nays.
adopted.
Thank you.
Okay, that's what I get for reading while I'm trying to do something.
Number
Okay.
15, right?
Now let's do
Okay.
number 15, please.
I move the council vote to approve to install a 5-foot wide handicapped access space in front of 2211 Independence Avenue as more fully outlined in the commission's recommendation memo dated March 25th, 2024.
Okay, may I get a second, please? Thank you. Okay. All right, any information requests? No? Any opposition? No? Okay, can I get a roll, please?
Councilmember Archie,
Yes.
Councilmember Bax,
Yes.
Councilmember Miles. Yes. Councilmember Zajac. Yes. Chairperson Perry.
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
5 yeas, the motion is adopted. Okay, item number 16, may I get a motion, please?
Yes, I move the council vote to approve to install a 5-foot wide handicap access space in front of 3347 Church Avenue, 37th Street side, as more fully outlined in the commission's recommendation memo dated March 25th, 2024.
Okay, may I get a second, please? Second. Thank you. Any information requests? No? Okay, any opposition? No? Okay, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Archie,
Yes.
Councilmember Bax,
Yes.
Councilmember Miles. Yes. Councilmember Zajac. Yes. Chairperson Perry.
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
5 yeas, the motion is adopted. Okay, item number 17. I don't have a 17 here. Do you have a 17?
It's in the script.
Is,
Do you have a 17?
No.
Mr. Du Bois?
Is there a
I don't-
17?
I don't have a 17.
It's in the script. It's in the
Item 17,
Commissioner of Deeds.
Commissioner of Deeds.
okay.
We don't have it. I have it on the agenda item, but I don't have
I don't
a
have
paperwork.
It was in the digital packet, I read it. I know I read it. I know it was in the digital packet.
It was in the digital packet, but I don't have it with the,
It's just not in
The
our
printed
paper
packet.
copy. But I have
I know I saw it.
it. I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, I know I saw it, but I don't have the packet here.
Do you need it? I'm good.
Well, they don't have it, that's,
I'm good.
You're good.
I'm okay. I can make them.
did you guys review it in the digital packet?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know everybody
So-
must have picked it up on the digital packet, but,
Yeah.
all right.
So, Mr. Chairman, I move the council vote to approve resolution relative to appointment of commissioners of deeds in the city of Niagara Falls, New York.
Wait a minute, Tracy.
Oh, sorry.
May I have a motion for item number 17, please?
Yes. I move the council vote to approve resolution relative to appointment of commissioners of deeds in the city of Niagara Falls, New York.
Okay, may I have a second, please? Okay, thank you. Any information requests? Any opposition? Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Archie,
Yes.
Councilmember Bax,
Yes.
Councilmember Miles,
Yes.
Councilmember Zajac,
Yes.
Chairperson Perry,
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
5 yeas, the motion's adopted. Okay. That concludes our business for tonight. Now we move on to the public speakers for the good of the community.
Sergio Fornicero.
Good evening, council members, and thank you very much for allowing me to speak to you folks. My name is Sergio Fornicero. In my years prior to my retirement, I was in the business of developing enterprises. Among my achievements was building apartments, condominiums, and I initiated 2 redevelopment projects in downtown Buffalo. The first was Waterfront Village, a major community on Buffalo's waterfront, which is located opposite the Erie Basin Marina and on the Lake Erie shore. The second redevelopment was Fountain Plaza, which is on Main Street, and it consists of an office hotel complex. Also, with my brother Ray, we grew our commercial concrete construction company into the largest in New York State, outside of New York City. I am here talking to you not for myself, but I am speaking to you, other leaders in this community, and the future generations. I love this area, and I want to see it transformed into what it could be and should be. This time in our lives provides you hardworking, elected leaders of Niagara Falls, and this iconic, international known natural wonder, a major opportunity to engage in the a major opportunity to expand your tourism industry and the wealth of your community. The magic formula, which has worked in many places, is bring in new outside money. What is needed is a new, world-class, state-of-the-art, competitive convention center. The thousands of visiting conventioneers, athletes attending sporting events with their supporting families and fans will be spending all their money, new money, out of the area dollars here for days, providing new revenues, sales taxes, etc., for you to renew and expand your infrastructure, etc. This formula has successfully performed in other communities, especially in formerly small communities such as Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida. Once a small desert town of Las Vegas, and Orlando, which was an agricultural community of orange groves, grew into two tourism industry giants that Niagara Falls can also become by building the above described convention center. And these two towns did not already have a unique, world-known, magnificent destination falls attraction to start when they were so small. Yes, you will hear all kinds of negative people say it can't be done, but you must be leaders and say you will do it. That is what a leader does. You will lead the way to success just as the leaders of other communities have accomplished in the past. Also very important, ASM Global of Los Angeles, the world's largest convention and events management company, has already spoken to your mayor, Restiano, of their interest in providing assistance so that your city and area can become a much grander city and destination. Let me just finish the sentence, okay? And the destination it can be and should be. Thank you very much. And being here tonight taught me a lot about Niagara Falls. I can't believe you're going to, the center, the park, Centennial Park, all that's going to do is trade local dollars.
So your time is up. Thank you.
Okay.
John Furzlow.
Council member, good evening. My name is John Furzlow. I was born in Niagara Falls. I've had a business on Niagara Street at 3025 Niagara Street for over 30 years. I'm still there today. I've watched the neighborhood go from being a very nice semi-residential area to turning into just a place that it's not safe to be anymore. I had dropped off some handouts earlier, and I wanted to talk to you on Better Together, a pet resource center. They approached me, because I own the building across the street from 3020, it's 3025. They approached me actually last year, but I had a tenant that I had a lease with who didn't want to pay the rent. I was finally able to get him out, and this Better Together was still interested in my property. I called Colleen in the administrator's office, and she guided me to talk to somebody in code enforcement. I called code enforcement, talked with a Clifford Scott. I gave him all the information. I gave him all the paperwork. He told me that it should be no problem. It would probably be a good thing for the neighborhood. There's a lot of people that walk their dogs there, and I see them because I'm there 5 to 6 days a week. I went to the meeting, and they ended up tabling it because they wanted to confer with the law office. Law office came back. They told me that I couldn't couldn't do anything until their next meeting. And when I went back to the next meeting, the chair denied acting upon I was looking for either a variance change, a legislative action, or a spot zoning change, or just a small amendment to the zoning for that area to allow me to have a veterinary clinic there. And it's a veterinary clinic that's geared to people of low income. You know, and that neighborhood is pretty low income. I ended up getting that information from Christopher Easton in Albany, and when I went to the second meeting and they denied my application, I asked them why, and they told me that Christopher Easton from Albany told me they couldn't do the variance change. But there's other things that could be done. He actually sent me a quite extensive list of things that could happen. And seeing as how the council appoints the members of the zoning board, you actually have a say in this. There is a legislative action that can be taken. When they shot me down the second time and told me that I didn't fill out the application properly, this was a month after my first meeting. I never saw an application. It was the zoning it was the code enforcement board that filled it out and turned it in. But they never said anything about it not being properly filled out at the first meeting. I waited a whole month, and they waved that in my face, saying that we're not approving it because you didn't fill out the right application. I don't know. The thing is, nobody's beating down the doors to come into the city. This is a new business. Point can be made that a small amendment to zoning would probably fit here because I'm allowed to have a doctor's office there, but not a veterinary office. They're both considered doctors. But I don't know, I was hoping that you could help me out with that, and I don't really know what else to say. It would be a good thing for the community, and I know pretty much everybody in the neighborhood. Like I said, I've been there 30 years. And I asked them directly, what would it hurt? What would it hurt? We have, in Niagara Falls, we have hundreds of vacant businesses. And this is a legitimate business that would actually contribute to the community and make it better. Thank you.
Be Vincent Cawley.
All right, a lot to go in a mile-long walk and 50 miles of runway, so let's get to it. So let's start here. You can go on the city website, okay, and I recommend everybody read Mark Shear's no contract bid in the newspaper that was today, and I heard somebody talk about laws and no laws. What are you talking about? Well, let's clear this up. On our city website, it says the City of Niagara Falls procurement system operates under, wait for it, the guidelines of New York State General Municipal Law. What is that? Let me tell you about that. Let's go. Municipalities must comply with the competitive bidding laws. Failure to comply with such can result in severe penalties and invalidation of any contracts entered into where the procedure was not strictly followed. Who is governed by the competitive bidding laws? Under General Municipal Law, Section 103, the competitive bidding laws apply to a political subdivision that enters into a purchase contract, equipment, materials, supplies, etc., exceeding $20,000 or a public works contract exceeding $35,000. You tell me if this contract applies. Moving on. Now, let's just say Vincent, there was only one person. You know, it was an emergency. We had to do this. Okay. Emergencies. Under General Municipal Law, Section 103, Section 4, a municipality may forego compliance with the competitive bidding requirements when a situation arises that requires emergency procurement. In order to invoke this exception, the situation must, 1, result from an accident or unanticipated occurrence, 2, impact buildings, property, or the life, health, and safety of municipal residents, and 3, require immediate action that cannot wait for competitive building. Now, we've known since February 22 February 2023 at the earliest. We've known about this. I was an appointment on the council in 2022, and that was the main issue that everybody kept asking me about. So does the emergency clause comply? No. Now, let's just say it doesn't need a competitive bid. It needs an RFP, because that's a little different than a competitive bid. I don't got much time to explain the difference, but let's just notch it down a level. Request for proposal. There's also a section in there too. When competitive bidding is not required, a municipality can opt to use an RFP to solicit offers. An RFP is typically used when procuring goods or services in situations where a municipality can select a vendor based on factors other than price, and when the award will be based on a combination of factors, such as when a municipality is using the best value standard. And it continues. This is not First Vincent's second opinion. The first stage in the RFP process is to create the actual RFP document. At minimum, the document should contain a table of contents, description of the objectives, and background of the project, requirement for the contract, including key elements of the contract. Bottom line, bad deal, bad vendor leads to bad services, period. And that's where we find ourselves in today. This is just one. I voted no. I'm known for voting no over there because of stuff like this. And now we have a chance to really dig into it and to stop the corruption and the bad deals that's going on. We have the chance to do it. Now, I'm going to change gears with this last minute and 40 seconds. Now, per Robert Rules of Order, and with all due respect, Mr. Chairman, you cannot unilaterally ban people from speaking. Per Robert Rules of Orders, you can't do that. You can't, not without the vote. You have to take that to the vote of the council. There's no unilateral action for the chairman to do that. Now, if you want to put that up for vote to the council, you can, but per Robert Rules of Order, and if we're going to stay with Robert Rules of Order, you cannot, there's very few things the chairman can unilaterally do. This is definitely not one of them. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night.
Next speaker is Nicole Dyer.
Okay, so we have approached many of the members of the council with factual documentation that go point for the Pit Chicks contract with areas that she's not been able to fulfill. And I see that Mr. Perry on social media making statements that the allegations are found baseless. I'm sorry, but text messages and emails do not lie. I also remember, and I think it was you, Mr. Perry, that you stated being emotional does not help any cause in government. And again, I see comments that you've made on social media, blasting individuals, using profanity. I find this unprofessional. It is frowned upon, especially for a chair of the council to conduct themselves in this manner.
One of the things, if you read your rules, there's no attacks on individuals. And like I said, goodbye.
Where I got it.
On the thing, you will stick to these rules on the back, okay? Understood. Rules on the back. Read the rules, ma'am. On the back. Next speaker.
Next speaker is
Next speaker. That's how it works.
That's not how it operates, man.
Legal?
Just to address the council.
Yes, I am.
You're gonna get sued.
Okay.
Civil rights
Bring it
attorney.
on.
Done.
Bring it on. Goodbye.
And you keep laughing, Tracy.
Goodbye.
Keep laughing.
Goodbye.
Keep laughing. You laugh.
One of the things I said at the beginning of this meeting is that we're bringing this back to a business. We're bringing this back to a business. We're not going to take any more of this stuff out of order. So we're going to take a recess. I'm making a motion to take a recess. We're going to convene up in legal library, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes. The second?
Second.
Call roll? Roll? Get a roll?
There. Councilmember Archie?
Yes.
Councilmember Bax? Councilmember Miles? Councilmember Zajac?
Yes.
Chairperson Perry?
Yes. We're in recess. Okay, we're calling the meeting back to order. Ms. Dyer, would you like to come back to the podium, please, if you'd like? Now, let me tell you something. You have violated the rules of order on page 4. If you'd like to continue speaking, you can continue speaking, but you will address the entire council. You will not attack any individuals on this council, any employees, or any individual people. You can speak, but you will speak from a position by addressing the entire council. Do you understand that? If you violate the rules, you will be suspended. Okay, you may continue.
In the Niagara Gazette article that came out today, again, the council, there is an acknowledgement that there was an RFP that was not issued, and there was not a solicitation of proposals from vendors. In a personal email, a council person made a comment that the excuse that you received because there was no person or business at the time. Again, this council person asked the question, how would you know without a notice being given? But in today's article, there was a lack of professional services that met the criteria at the time, and they had to move forward. So which is it, council? Was there no person to come forward, or was there no person that met the criteria at the time? I guess we'll never know because there was not an RFP presented.
Next speaker will be Gerald Scarlin.
I am Gerald Scarlin. I gave my address earlier, if that's fine. I mentioned earlier I'm a political scientist. Now I can go back to being the crazy veteran everybody thinks I am. Last year I claimed the damages to the city of Niagara Falls, and I wish to express this in a court of public record. I addressed my letter to the law department, and I placed every bit of information in it, and I placed every bit of information in my letter. For what? This is not a personal grievance. This is to expose a person who has not followed due process of the law in the United States of America, my constitutional right. This is for the good of the community, sir, because I am outlining faults. Okay.
Full basis, all right. Okay.
Next speaker is Barbara Rogers.
Good evening. I'm Barbara Rogers, and I live at 1408 97th Street. And I am a huge fan of the late Congressman John Lewis. What I'm about to do right now is make good trouble. It's ironic that Earth Day was 2 days ago. But first, a little history lesson. The entire affected neighborhood in question is bordered by Tuscarora on the west, 98th Street on the east, Cayuga Drive on the south, and Marine Memorial and Nemel Drive to the north. More specifically, it's 95th Street on the west, 97th on the east, Cayuga on the south, and Marine Memorial and Nemel Drive on the north. This all was originally Millville Dairy property. It was sold to developers after World War II, so returning members of the greatest generation, like my father, could purchase a new home and move their families into this neighborhood and live the American dream. My, how times have changed. The negligence on the part of the city government has turned this quiet little LaSalle neighborhood into the American nightmare. I spoke before this group on October 18th, 2023, and I apologize, Mr. Archie and Mr. Perry. I spoke with you at a political fundraiser since you had not been elected yet. So I spoke before this group and the school board the following night about a property located at 1319 95th Street. This property is zoned as detached single-family residential homes. There's that darn pesky American dream. No neighborhood impact study was done to change the zoning. And I promised that if the code violation area wasn't addressed, I'd kick it up the chain of command. And I also did a lot of research. There's a slumlord that owns the property. I have his name, but he also has, I'll discuss that later too, and the renter is a man who goes by a nickname, and to my knowledge, neither of them live on the property. When the orchard was cut down, he buried the trees, making the reclaiming my time. Reclaiming my time. When the orchard was cut down, the trees were buried, making the property 2 to 3 feet higher than the surrounding properties. And the code says the property can only be 1 foot higher than the closest roadway. Why should we have to put up privacy fences to block this landfill when it is the city's fault for not controlling these types of businesses? And these, I certainly hope, are not the businesses that we as a community would like to attract. When it rains, the backyards on 97th Street flood, and this is a huge quality of life issue, since we cannot use our backyards because of the water in the junkyard. Who wants to look at that mess during a family barbecue? And the concern here is also mosquitoes, vermin, and the type of fill that was used, but we'll get back to that. The Niagara Falls School District has a residency policy for the last 30 years. People in good faith purchased homes in that neighborhood before the junkyard, storage facility, and landfill was green-lighted by the city, not necessarily this group. But these district employees did this, purchased homes, so they could teach your children and your grandchildren. And some of these people have retired under this policy. This city-sanctioned eyesore is dropping the property values, which gives you fewer tax dollars, as well as dropping the asking price on our property. And maybe that's not such a bad thing, since we don't have to pay higher taxes. Did I mention my letter to the editor that was published the day after Election Day? Funny, I ran into the mayor at the Veterans Day ceremony, and I guess my letter ruffled some feathers. He told me as soon as he got settled in and gathered his department heads.
Thank you, ma'am. Your time is up.
That was fast. Thank you.
No, there's no more. That was the last one.
Meeting adjourned.
8:25.